Okay, welcome back to the hit show on TV, The Salesian Family. So I am presenting right now the Association of the Salesian Dames, or as I like to say, the Association of the Salesian Dames. That could have been delivered better. Anyway, um, this association, it's a lay association founded by Father Miguel Gonzalez in Venezuela. And what I found to be really beautiful about this um, association is that it's a group of lay Catholic women that are very much they're in the world but not of it, and they're very much interested, obviously, in serving young people and serving those of the most needs, but also of the promotion of women. So it seems like they're very interested in specifically women that have the qualities and the talents to, if given the opportunity, to be able to find good employment, to be able to kind of pursue things that kind of fit their, what it says here, women who are often socially restless, but with sufficient values and qualities, and who devote part of their time to be agents of social change and social promotion. So they're very interested, I think, in social action and in just the promotion of women in general, and in addressing the physical, moral, and spiritual needs of the poor. Um, they're very conscious that they're lay missionaries. They're apostles of the new evangelization. They're committed to society. They're volunteers, but they're also entrepreneurs because they organize human and religious commitment as an enterprise of the kingdom of God. So yeah, very much just a focus on being in the world, socially engaged, seeking the promotion of women, serving the poor. And the association has 3,153 members in 115 centers. And this is across Central America, the Caribbean islands, North America, and especially in South America. And that is the Association of Salesian Dames.
Thank you. Damas Salesianas.
Las Damas Salesianas.
Sisters Mediators of Peace.
Yay! Okay. On the next episode of Salesian Family, we have the Sisters Mediators of Peace, founded by a Salesian. His name is quite memorable. Let me look it back up. Bishop Antonio Campello de Arango. So basically, the story here is Bishop in 1957, with a group of missionaries, began trying to meet the needs of the local people. The way in which this was going to be done was a discernment, which if you read in on page 326, you get to see a bit more of their story. Is they saw their mission, but in what way were they going to live that out? And the discussion of, are we going to be like a religious, like with some sort of uniform, or are we just going to be in the world serving as lay? So the discernment turned into that they are a diocesan rite of women religious. They have, their charism is to be the mediating presence and builders of peace. This spirituality is centered on Jesus Christ, the mediator. And their mission is to work in fields of education, health, social assistance, catechesis, and evangelization. Their motto is, I will do everything for the elect. And you see, they really wrote this out so easily for me. This is all under their identity. And their core words are holiness and apostolate, action and contemplation. They look to Our Lady, Mediatrix and Queen of Peace, and Don Bosco as their patrons. And for their present situation, they seek to minister in the various areas of Brazil where they are. And their continued growth, they began as in their early years, they were quite a large group, numbering over 100. And then even now they hold 71 strong and continue to serve in 9 dioceses with 14 communities. So they seek to bring Christ's peace to where they are in their individual communities, and we pray that they can continue doing that as they pray for us too. Those are the Sister Mediators of Peace.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, you're going to just have to make believe I'm Sister Teresa. And she had to head back to Miami. So the disciples are in India. In 1973, Father Joseph D'Souza, SDB, as the vocation director for the Diocese of Krishnagar, was accompanying young women who did not want to become religious sisters and did not feel the call to get married either. So he proposed to them the idea of a secular institute. In other words, making vows but living in the world. And about a few of them took him up on that idea, and soon their number grew to 16. In 1979, when Father Joe was in a parish in the Raigar diocese, he realized that his parish was very large, spreading over 60 villages throughout in the mountains and over the region. So he realized that he needed to have people go out to those villages to do the catechesis, etc. So he approached these young women and they said yes. So between 1979 and 1989, Father Joe defined the lifestyle for the disciples, strengthening them in their charism of being available in the neediest areas, relying on the hospitality of the people, and being totally committed to Jesus' command, go out to the world proclaiming the good news to all creation. In 1983, a few young men, seeing the work of the sister disciples, were inspired to join the Institute as brothers and deacons. They were accepted and were sent out alone or 2 by 2 to help the parishes and the different diocese institutions or congregation, who asked for them as evangelizers, catechists, academic teachers, hostel guardians, or administrators. And those are the disciples in India. And I was going to also say 2 words about the Catechist Sisters of Mary Immaculate Help of Christians, because somehow they slipped through the cracks yesterday. And importantly, for those who were here at the Salesian Family Festival last year, there were 2 of those sisters here, because there are 5 Sisters of Mary Immaculate Help of Christians who are in Pennsylvania, in a place called Leechburg, Pennsylvania. And they run a home for elderly women, but their main apostolate is, as says their name, catechesis. They were founded in the Diocese of Krishnagar, also in India, by a Salesian bishop who was actually born in Texas, and then his family moved to Mexico, and he went to the Salesian seminary in Mexico, became a Salesian, and then was eventually elected to be bishop of eventually asked to go to the missions. He was sent to India and became bishop there in Krishnagar. At Vatican Council II, he met the bishop from Pennsylvania in, I guess it's Pittsburgh. Greensburg, thank you, Greensburg Diocese. And that bishop said to him, "Oh, I'd love to have your sisters here." So Bishop Morrow, their founder, actually wrote catechetical works for children, for First Communion, Spanish, a whole compilation of the catechism, I think more for the instructors than for the children, because it is very large and very complex, in other words, complete. And they continue to have those books printed and to distribute them to those who wish to buy them. And then they also have a group of laity attached to them. They're kind of modeling themselves on the Salesian cooperators, that these laity really work with them side by side, but also support their mission. That's what I've got. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The next, they are the Sisters of Maria Auxiliatrix from Chennai, India. Anybody? Did we miss them? Uh-oh. All right, I'll look them up. Then the Sisters of the Resurrection.
I have Miss Andrea's notes.
Great.
Wow.
Come, Sister Lisa. We're going to make believe that Sister Lisa is Andrea now.
Yes. So she did the Sisters of the Resurrection. They were founded by Father George Puthienpera, who was an SDB and an Indian Salesian missionary. They were founded September 15th, 1977, and it was a Guatemala affiliation to the Salesian Family, January 31st, 2006. This is a group of sisters who are dedicated to pastoral ministry in parishes, educational centers, and charitable work such as homes for the elderly and the sick. They manage a lot of educational centers that have numbers of up to 800 children and like 25,000 children that they minister to. It currently has 42 sisters with perpetual vows, 7 novices, and 18 junior professed, at least at the time of the printing of the book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, the community of Cancel Nova.
Oh, that's me.
That's you. All right. Now she's back to being Sister Lisa.
Yes, here we go. Okay. So this community was founded February 2nd, 1978 by Father Jonas Abib, who was an SCB. Father Jonas, he asked if anyone who he was working with wanted to follow him to meet the needs of the people where they were. And so he began a small group that started a radio broadcast and has now expanded into a large social development. They officially entered the Salesian Family on January 21st, 2009. And essentially what this group is it's a group of lay people who dedicate their lives to evangelizing Christ through the use of multimedia.
And they actually have an internet TV station, but if you have to understand Portuguese, but it's got continuous programming, 24 hours, children shows, catechetical. It's really amazing, and they do exist here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Long Branch, New Jersey, and out near Boston, in a town near Boston. Thank you.
Thank you.
What kind of, what canonical status do they have?
Cantanova, I have to look, I don't remember. The Visitation Sisters of Don Bosco.
Yes, let's go, sister.
Go, Sister Michelle.
Okay. So the Visitation Sisters of Don Bosco were founded by Bishop Hubert de Rosario in India in 1983. And he founded this group of sisters because he saw the needs of the people living in poverty and illness, and also they weren't getting catechesis. And so he wanted the sisters to bring the gospel and any other assistance that was needed to those areas. And so their identity is founded in Mary at her visitation, especially in letting go of your own comfort in order to lovingly serve those in need. And so they have this willingness to go out and travel to people, especially those who were otherwise abandoned. And so they're very missionary. And one of the things that I noticed that I thought was different but very beautiful is that they make visits to people's homes. And they became a part of the Salesian family in 2012. And in 2018, there were 142 professed sisters, and they were still growing.
Thank you.
Thank you. The community of the Mission of Don Bosco. Yay, Frankie.
Hello, everyone. So I have the community of the Mission of Don Bosco. So it was started in 1982, so rather recently, by Deacon Guido Pedroni, who is actually in the Oratory of the Sacred Heart, brought together some people, some of the young people, and they went to Ethiopia for missionary service. And eventually, the program was not only missionary work, but then it turned more to an educative approach. And so they started oratories, youth centers, and eventually this concept of a tent, so they called it, but really it was community building. And in that, so as a way to build up like whole communities. And in that's how they also begun their own formation with those who would enter the community. they were from the like small communities that they developed, that they brought up. So they brought up the kids through that program. And so they were officially, their rule of life was officially accepted as Salesian Family into January 15, 2010. So again, rather recent, and they went to all parts of the world. And so their part of their charism is the spirituality of search. So it's really searching for God in the everyday life and searching out the ways in which they can fulfill his will. So really this emphasis on search. And so one thing I found interesting is that one of the so to like the final like professions, I guess, for the community is a stage of permanent diaconate. So it's to become like a deacon. So yeah, but in a way, so they could keep on doing the missionary educative services while also taking vows and such. Vows? Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Witnesses of the risen Lord. Is this yours, Luis?
Yes, yes. Okay. This is really new in the sense that it's the first time I've heard of them. Founder and origin. At the end of the 1970s, a few lay people who wished to deepen their knowledge of the word and to reflect on it in their lifestyle found a guide in the Salesian Father Sabini Palumbieri. This is all Italian. On December the 8th, 1984, their scattered ideas converged around a project for a movement centered on the joy of the resurrection, witnesses of the risen Lord, towards the year 2000. Thanks to the couple, Ceresira Ambrosio and Agostino Aversa, with their anthropological and exegetical reflections, the focus was placed on Easter. Because the group is composed above all of families, the experience of the catechumenate, oh God, that's a new word, of couples began. The history from the foundation to the present. On December the 8th, 1984, the Project for a Movement, Witnesses of the Risen Lord towards the year 2000, took off. Thanks to the couple of Ambrosio and Aversa, the lay spiritual movement and the 20th group of the Salesian family was recognized by the Conference of Italian Bishops and was admitted to the National Council of Lay Association on September 25th, 2008. So after 2008, Agostino Aversa was succeeded in 2010 by Raffaello Nicastro as general coordinator. At present, Dina Moschioni, from 2015 to 2020, also a lay member of the world level Secretariat for the Salesian Family, holds the position. Father Louis Galecce, who's a priest, has been the spiritual guide since 2011, when he was appointed by Father Chavez, the then rector major.
Okay, thank you. And just
No,
oh,
I haven't finished. What's the most important thing
sorry.
that what they did
Sorry.
is that they created a new prayer. They developed a prayer called Via Lucis, which is the same as the Via Crucis, but it's taken after the resurrection of our Lord all the way to Pentecost. And they have done this prayer just like Via Crucis. They pray from the after the resurrection to Pentecost, and they have been The Witnesses of the Risen Lord movement is a journey of faith and friendship shared in the gathering, family of families, that brings together young people and adults to understand, experience, bring to life, and radiate Easter joy before wherever the Lord calls. The spirituality of the Witnesses of the Risen Lord is summarized in Timothy 2:8. Remember that Jesus Christ of the lineage of David rose from the dead. It is actually the daily mission of service. The affiliation to the Salesian family, the Witnesses of the Risen Lord, became the 20th group of the Salesian family on March 25th, 1999. They lived the paschal joy, which is the core of Don Bosco's spirituality, of his attention to the poor and young people. What have presently, the lay vocation of the pastoral church requires that young people be joyful witnesses today, more than ever in human society, to that it may place itself at the service of the holistic dignity of humans, in communion and collaboration with the ecclesiastical institutions. The Via Lucis is now celebrated throughout the world. We recall extraordinary celebrations in the Holy Land, in Russia, in Colle di Don Bosco, where the stations are prominently on display for personal piety. Argentina, it's done in Argentina, Cameroon, Fatima, sometimes with installation of panels made by the artists Giovanni Dragoni and Giorgi Rossa in the church. And this is the first time I've heard of this prayer from after the resurrection of Christ. Organization. It's organized in 3 sectors: youth, adults, and volunteers. Formative process: annually retreats, twice a year, general meetings to get to know one another better, twice a month, meetings of the local group to reflect while praying and to pray while reflecting using Lectio Divina and themes chosen by the group itself. Every day, all are spiritually united through the prayer of Imamus at 20. Stay with us, Lord, because it is evening, and make us witness of your Easter. And that is something new to me, anyway.
Yeah.
With the prayers of after resurrection.
We have all of those prayers, and for anybody who's been to Italy and at Colle Don Bosco, where Don Bosco was born and raised, in Becchi, inside the Tempio Don Bosco, the huge church that's now a basilica that was built to honor Don Bosco, there are the stations of light, Via Lucis being the stations of light, as we do the stations of the cross, the Via Crucis, before Easter. So I think there are 15 stations in the Via Lucis that take you the important moments where Jesus reappears to everyone, where Jesus reappears after his resurrection until Pentecost. Yeah, so it's a beautiful prayer. We have the copy of it, and I'll make it available after to everybody who's...
Good. Thank you, sister.
Hey, you're welcome. It's beautiful to pray.
Yeah, there are about 500 lay people in the movement right now.
Sorry?
There are about 500 lay people in the movement.
Beautiful. And that's something the cooperators could found a group, any of us can found groups of the Witnesses of the Resurrection, because it's just a matter of continuing our spirituality and, after Easter, sharing this with people. And in this year of hope coming up, this perfect year for that. Thank you. Thank you, Louisa. Now, Contemplative Fraternity of Mary of Nazareth. Nobody?
You're gonna focus your eyes on Margarita, and I'm gonna be her beautiful voice for the day.
So all right, thanks be to God. Here we go.
So this is the Contemplative Fraternity of Mary of Nazareth. It has its roots in a dream that was had by Bishop Nicola Contugno since his Salesian novitiate in 1957. On the eve of the solemnity of the Assumption of Mary in 1977, the first group of men and women were consecrated during a Holy Mass at which Bishop Contorti presided and Father Nicola concelebrated. On December 7th of 1986, the Bishop of Montevideo, Gotthard, incorporated the Contemplative Fraternity of Mary of Nazareth into the local church, where they received public vows of contemplation of 33 Nazarenes. When the Nazarenes speak of contemplation, what they mean by that is that Jesus' experience of union with God, anticipating in the Nazareth together with Mary and Joseph. So it's meant to be a real focus on the Sacred Family. On July 18th of 2016, the fraternity was incorporated into our Salesian family as the 31st official group. And there are currently 52 Nazarenes with the perpetual vows of contemplation, 29 Nazarenes with a temporal vow, and 10 young Nazarenes with a presence of contemplation, 25 young Nazarenes with the commitment of contemplation, and 200 young people that are currently walking on this journey.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And they have a community in Becky also. So we didn't meet them, but I guess because they're contemplatives. But they're there. Volunteers with Don Bosco. Here we go. And then there's the Sisters of Maria Auxiliatrix that I will try to deal with.
Hello again.
Hello.
This is, these are the volunteers with Don Bosco. They were founded in the second half of the 1980s. I find this interesting. Some young men in 4 countries, Italy, Malta, Paraguay, and Venezuela, moved by the Holy Spirit without knowing one another, expressed their desire to consecrate themselves to God in the world. So to me, that's like in the movies when like all across the world, people get superpowers at the same time and they're meant to like form like the Avengers or something. Anyways. So they all expressed this desire, and then they were accompanied by these Salesian priests and a VDB, that's volunteer of Don Bosco.
Yeah,
That was the
women
women branch of this. So this is like, first there was the women branch of the volunteers. This was the male branch of it. So they were accompanied by them, and then the rector major, hearing of the path that they wanted to take, recognized it as a gift of the Holy Spirit, and encouraged them to move forward. So the main part of their identity can be summed up in 3 words: secularity, consecration, and Salesianity. So this is a lay secular institute. They're secular in the sense that they live in the world, for the world, but do not belong to the world. They see Jesus of Nazareth as their model, the silent and discreet presence of his hidden life. You know, Jesus before he began his ministry in Galilee, in Capernaum. So they see themselves as working normal jobs in the world, seeking to be professional and competent, but through their witness, evangelizing those they encounter in their everyday life, because they are also consecrated. These are lay consecrated men. So they do not live in community, but they lead a life according to the gospel counsels of chastity, poverty, and obedience. That they live out those counsels as they live their normal everyday life. And then, Elizabeth. And then Salesianity. So they're members of the Salesian family. They're committed to that Salesian spirituality, the spirit of Don Bosco, cultivating a profound interior life, being attentive to the urgent needs of the world of youth, and bearing witness to God's love for the world with joy and optimism. They're very much, they're in the world, they're working their jobs, living out their consecration, not living in community, but still seeking to evangelize the world in secular environments. They're happy men, loved in a special way by God, who consecrates them in the church for the world. They want to be witnesses of God who walks the streets, and for this reason, they make God's passion for the world their own. And there's a cause of beatification up for one of them, servant of God, Antonino Baglieri, who he has a very beautiful story. He was paralyzed when he was 17 years old. And then he had 10 years of just living a very dark night of the soul. Really not like a dark night of the soul, just like deep despair in terms of this horrible paralysis that he suffered from. But then there was a group of people of the charismatic renewal who prayed for him, and he felt this transformation in himself. And it was at that point that he said yes to the cross that Jesus was giving him, and then began to read the gospel and all of Scripture and discover the wonders of his faith. And then he basically just really tried to accompany those within his own physical struggle of being paralyzed. He still sought to accompany others and led a very holy life and wrote books about the transformative power, the redemptive character of suffering when it's united to Christ. So he was part of one of these CDBs, and he also was a Salesian cooperator, and now he is a servant of God, and his cause for beatification is up. So those are the volunteers with Don Bosco.
When you say consecrated life, an example of consecrated life in lay, does it mean like a deacon?
So
What is it?
From what I understand, it is a lay person who they're still in the world. They still are leading the normal life of a lay person, let's say having their job, having their career. They're not living in community necessarily, though some do, but they have the consecration of the evangelical councils that
Vows.
Yeah, the vows. Those vows of chastity and obedience. So that's specifically their consecration. And they're lay consecrated because they're still working normal jobs. They're not living in community. They're specifically just taking those vows.
Okay, thank you.
And spiritual director who would be an SDB.
Okay.
So they're responsible to their spiritual director and to each other, and they do meet at organized times for spiritual direction, for prayer together, and to see how they're doing, living their lives. Sorry?
For formation.
Formation also, yes. And so the last group, I'm sorry, somehow we missed them, the Sisters of Maria Auxiliatrix, which is essentially the Sisters of Mary, the help of Christians. They just don't put the Christianorum on the end. This group grew out of another group. Father Anthony Muttam Totil in India got together a group of young women to help poor and abandoned young people, essentially 4 sisters who were taking care of the young, who were neglected by society, both materially and spiritually. Sisters is capitalized, so I'm assuming they belonged to a congregation at the time. So then there came up a need in in a housing project in Arpati for the refugees from Burma. And the people were living there as refugees, but they had no way of making a livelihood in this refugee camp. So the Salesian who was assigned there turned to Father Anthony and said, we need help. They need every sort of manner of help. Father Anthony accepted it and moved into action with the help of the Legion of Mary. But when he became aware of the pathetic conditions and traumatic experience lived by those people, especially the young, he decided to found a religious congregation that would take care of them, particularly of the young girls. It was this reality that gave him a renewed impetus to found a new congregation, the Sisters of Maria Auxiliatrix. So this happened, and they were supported by Father Anthony until 1997 when he passed away. The congregation was originally a pious union, but it was raised to the status of a diocesan rite institute by the Archbishop of Madras, Mylapore, Bishop Aruldas James, on May 24th, 1999. Today, since 1976, in 2019, the congregation had 108 perpetually professed sisters, 16 temporary professed sisters, and 11 novices. They're in 32 centers in different parts of India and in Italy, and in 11 dioceses. And they do take the motto, Da mi animas cetera tole. I think we all do, but maybe not explicitly. And so those are the Sisters of Maria Auxiliatrix. Woohoo! And I think, if we reflect back on this, I don't, except for the cooperators in ADMA, I don't think there was one lay group founded before Vatican Council II. Did anybody have a lay group before Vatican Council II? But since Vatican Council II, we've had some sisters, yes, consecrated religious, but we've had all manner of everybody else since then. Laity
What about
in the church.
the VDBs?
Well, they're consecrated though. You know what I mean? They're lay consecrated, but they were before, yes. They were definitely before. But they still had vows. Like, these people don't take the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience necessarily.
One of the the effects of Vatican II is that the canonical classification of the groups within the Salesian family really expanded. So that if before you had mostly consecrated life, men and women, afterwards you have consecrated life, you have both pontifical, meaning approved all around the world by the Vatican, or diocesan, but you also have secular institutes of men and women, spiritual institutes, private associations of the faithful. There are 4 of them, and interreligious associations of laity. There are 2 of them. So you also have public associations of the faithful, such as the Association of Mary Help of Christians. I think that sister just mentioned. That's
ADMA.
Oh, that's ADMA. They're largely not consecrated, but they are they have a canonical structure or certification which fits their situation. And also another thing that I noticed in going through was that there are more and more of them that are establishing family groups, not Salesian family, but family of their own congregation or on their own secular institute, such as the Sisters of Mary Immaculate Help of Christians in Leechburg. They have a group of men and women who are their associates, and they come together and they help them and they go forth, and they do the same thing as the Salesian family, just trying to get more and more of that vast assembly of people who will serve the young.
All right, everybody. Wow. A great 2 days, really. People are tired. That means we've worked hard. We might have joy and energy inside in our spirits, but our bodies are a little tired. I think the best we can say is we can thank God for having raised up St. John Bosco in the church and bringing us all together really to help bring the kingdom of God and establish it here on earth, and one day be joined together in great joy and happiness in heaven. We, I think, would like to have a couple of things. One, we'd like to get another screenshot. There are a couple more who are online. Well, a couple more who are online now than were not able to be online before. We'd also like to hear some feedback. So think about whatever you have to share with us, to say what went well, what didn't go well, how can it be improved, what did we miss, what else would you like to know? And there will be the advertisement now for the second sessions. They will be January 2nd and 3rd, and that will be for the second year novices and for the post novices. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to wait for part 2 until next year. What? So they're crying over here. So
one question, sister.
Yes.
That one is Thursday and Friday. So are you planning on recording it?
Yes.
Because it's a work day.
I know. But it's the days that they had, and it was the time that I, for one, could fly away from school, and because we're not back in school yet.
Could
Thank
could we then watch it if you
Oh,
record it?
Oh, sure.
Yes,
Okay.
the intention is to download the videos and to upload them to a cloud service that we have for the Salesian family, and then make it available with all of the documentation that we were able to get our hands on, also available there, or at least a bibliography for what we couldn't get our hands on to scan like into the computer. They exist physically, but we don't necessarily have them digitally. Okay, so, yes,
Could I spread the word that not
please.
only not only the novices and whatnot. I mean, this is and recruits. I mean, this is a good course because we don't know that much about the Salesian families, and even by publishing that book is wonderful because
Yeah.
people have now a choice. You know, they could have a choice. And we only know about the ones that we know that we have around in Montreal, like Adma, past pupils, and four or five of them. But now look how many there are. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Yes, please do encourage people. I mean, we purposely have the go-to-meeting that can seat 250 on here on this call. So,
Okay.
and we had Antoine on here before, but poor man, for him, it is well into the night in India. He was on the call. He is one of the former
I know he came.
world counselors of operators. Yes. I don't know.
I will push it in Canada anyway.
Good
Because I'm
job.
on the provincial council.
Let's try that in the United States too. All right, so take a screenshot. Everybody's got the camera on, so now's a good time. Okay. Father, I think yeah. Come on, Father, I think yeah. Make like you like each other.
Okay.
You two are something else.
Sister Denise, push your camera a little bit so we can see both of you.
Yeah, wait a minute, because I have to fix the unruly hair. So, it's always unruly. Do about it. That's the way it is. It's unruly.
All right, ready?
Ready.
Jesus on three. 1, 2, 3.
Jesus.
I hope it works. Let's check it out. Offer your smiling for the young. Let's see.
Is that the new one? No. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, how nice.
Yes.
What's happening? Lisa, what are you up to?
All right. Here.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Hello, Millie.
Hi.
Good to see you.
It was well, thank you.
I didn't see you
Actually,
before. It
can
was
one of you
good.
take notes? Okay, so we're gonna have a little evaluation here before we get a good
Okay.
night. I thought Andrea was gonna come back on to give the good night, but I might be wrong about that. So Father Tom gets to give the good night. And and so just let us know. What are your thoughts? So we're having a note taker here. Sister Michelle is taking notes for us. Evaluation time. Yes, Louise.
I enjoyed it most of it, but the first part could be shortened. You know, when you go from the 1300s to the so on and so forth, that could be shortened because there's just a lot of information there that we'll never remember. We'll never remember. So if you could sort of take a session like the revolution time, or the just the areas like the first 100 years, the second, the third, and make it more compact.
Okay. Thank you.
Sister, what are we going to cover next time?
It's going to be mostly the work that they have developed on the World Consulta level of the animation accompaniment of the Salesian family, the different levels, the different persons involved, and the roles and responsibilities of those who are delegated to take care of the Salesian family, and how we all interconnect and how we are meant to work together.
At a high level, I guess.
No, at all levels, local to world.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
it seems to me as if uh, with the charter of the Salesian family, we have a very good idea of what the Salesian family is, what are its parts, what are its priorities, and so forth, who are its members. But this next one will be how the Salesian family works, how it operates, how does it move forward, how does it make decisions, how does it plan, and all of that. So for now, we have the good idea of who we are. Now, this next document and this next course will help us to how to act as that Salesian family community.
Yeah, and so if you want, you all have a copy of the Salesian Family Don Bosco book in the PDF form, or you might have a physical copy. In the front of it is the charter of the charismatic identity of the Salesian family of Don Bosco that Don Chavez pulled together. So you would want to maybe read that between now and January 2nd and 3rd. The charter isn't that long. I mean, it's maybe 20 or 30 pages, but it is fundamental. And the last chapter of the charter, which is a page long, chapter 43, Don Chavez said, this is just the start. This last chapter has to be developed. And with this document that just came out from the World Consulta is that development and the completion of the charter. Anybody else? Whether you're in Salesian land or you're here in the room.
Brian.
Just so they can hear you.
I really enjoyed the variety of presentations on the history, not only of like Don Bosco and the family, but just kind of I really appreciate the cultural background of what's happening, and but I also in the presentations on the Vatican Council, Second Vatican Council documents, and but I think what I found most effective was our discussion that we had with the 5 or 6 questions of what makes us family, and because I think that it brought out all of these different ideas, and it also brought out places where we didn't really have a full understanding, and so like identify that, and then so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, Jeannie, Dennis.
Yeah. I'll let Jeannie talk, but I'm going to talk.
I'm not talking.
I found it amazing with this. I really thought I knew the Salesian family, but there was so many, the expansions over the years, into the local communities and how it expanded again. I was really amazed at that. So I thought it was really good just listening to how people in the Salesian family extended Don Bosco's dream of the world.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks, Jean. Tim.
I really loved this whole workshop. I felt each presentation added something to the picture to really round it out, either from the kind of the church's side with the presentation of the documents of Vatican II, or this Salesian side of the origins of this family. I think I would have enjoyed on that note in terms of Don Bosco's vision from the beginning and how the Salesian family was growing over time. Maybe as well, in terms of like how we're talking about how we collaborate as a family. Examples were from our early history with like Don Bosco, maybe Don Rua, and the beginning of the FMAs in terms of how they did collaborate, like FMAs with SDBs or SDBs with cooperators. Stories like that, because for me, when I read about those early stories of Don Bosco in detail, it helps me better understand of how we can live out that same charism and mission today. We really deal with the same, maybe more complex version, but like the same
situations.
Thank you. Just read the 19 volumes of the biographical memoirs. You'll be fine.
Unbelievable.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
It'll have plenty of those stories in there.
Wow.
No, that's really great. I mean, it's amazing what you two do, eh? With the family festival and this, and going towards the family, not just the youth, but the family. It's we're going the right way.
Thank you.
My favorite aspect of this gathering is the fact that it is a gathering. So it's not just that we're individually being formed about the Salesian family, but we're being formed as a family. We're being formed about the family as a family. And I thought that was very powerful. With that, I found it so fun actually. Like we all got to do like our little homework and presentations, and like we had the typical like don't zone out, like keep paying attention. And I thought that was really a good exercise of like how do I prepare to convey the goodness that's being done, and how do I prepare to receive what's being conveyed to me, as we're all representing the different aspects of our family. So I found each aspect of it to be very beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think I was impressed with how much Sister Denise actually knew.
Yeah.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
I heard that she's the only sister that's read every single book on Don Bosco.
Unbelievable.
She knows a lot. She can retain it.
I thought Father Tom was smart until I met Sister Denise.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
Hey.
No,
And I typed his doctorate.
He's smart. He's a great guy. Don't
She
worry.
waited all day for that.
I met Sister Denise for the very first time. I think it was 2019 at the training session we had. And she was like unbelievable. She was so energetic with everything she was doing. So energetic. She would be going down the stairs like the wind.
Wow.
Oh, I just
tried
love
to
you, sister.
I've been trying to avoid her for years.
Pardon me?
You're so inspirational to me anyway.
Oh, Millie.
Okay, so what else about today? Feedback. Stay on task.
Well, you were part of today anyway.
Thank you.
2 days.
Anybody else?
I work in Miami in a high school, so I'm surrounded by the young people all the time, right? So my job directly is impacting the young people because I'm the campus minister. But I hear the words accompaniment and discernment and the idea of collaboration. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that moments like this remind us of this concept of understanding that we truly are a universal family. And because it's high school, a lot of them, they start freshman year, they have to graduate and go off. Many of them don't find like their footing and grounding to know that there are other people out there that are willing to continue walking alongside them. And so knowing, right, that we have this beautiful family all over the place that can come together for formation, meaning we're trying to edify in ourselves the things that we want to give to them, makes a huge difference. I felt that during the pandemic because we got together a lot online, and kind of coming to this just reminds me of that idea of like, we are not doing it alone. We have a huge support system that's willing to step in for prayer, for, discussion, what have you. But like those things are so key and essential as we look at our young and send them off into the world. The world is confusing. We want to make sure that they know this is where I can come back and kind of put myself in alignment and then keep going from there. So thank you for the mission and the vision that we share.
Amen. Amen.
You reminded me of an experience. Father Tom and I had gone down for a cooperator congress down in Puebla, Mexico, and there were like 4 English speakers there, and everybody else spoke Spanish. So they had to get an interpreter for us 4 little cats. And this young man came. He had no connection with the Salesian family. He was just an interpreter that the Salesians employed from time to time. He had spent time in the United States going to university, so he's pretty well versed in English. And he was there, and I started, youth, right? Young man, started to talk to him to see how he was doing. And he, after the first day, at the end of the first day, he said, "Sister, can you give me a book or something with the words? Because I don't understand some of what you're saying here." And it was also and he wasn't quite catching on to the meaning that we give when we say, things like Salesian presence and stuff like this. So we went through, and at the end of the 4 days, I asked him, I said, "Well, how was it for you to be here and to hear all of this?" He said, "Sister, I went home and I told my friends, I didn't know there were lay people out there like this who cared about the kids." And and so I said, "You stay close. You stay close to the Salesians here in Puebla, the sisters and the priests and the brothers, and, get involved." So you're right. Our own young people don't realize, but there are so many other young people out there who have no clue that there are adults who care about them. And that's something that I think we need to make known to the world, that we're here and we exist. And, I'm always saying cooperators wear cooperator things and work on mission together, because when they start to see and they say, "Well, who are you? What's this cooperator? Are you a priest, a brother, a sister?" No, 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 I'm a layperson. I am a teacher. I'm a doctor. I'm a homemaker. I'm what I am, but I am part of the Salesian family, and I am committed to this mission and as an association within the family, within the church. It makes a huge difference, a huge difference. So they know you're not just a nice person acting on your own.
Right. Right.
Last call. Frankie.
So I really loved how we were able to, really get a deeper look into all the different groups within the Salesian family, and especially this last topic that we went over about how the laity is part of the family, especially in the cooperators. And then I was thinking, like, as a way, like, to really deepen that understanding would be, like, if possible. I don't think actual people, but perhaps, like, maybe we'll be able to see like a little more in depth, like, example of that collaboration in action, like perhaps like there, I don't know, maybe like a video or media showcase of like an actual community where there's like SDBs, FMAs, cooperators all involved in, because of course, like in different works, like our works that are present here, that we see that, but perhaps from like another like culture or another way, in order, because if we see it from our own eyes, it's one thing, but seeing it in carried out through like another viewpoint is able to help deepen that understanding, and just see that how like globally how other people, other members of the family are carrying out that collaboration, which can help us in our own sphere.
Thank you.
Just a little bit.
Best practices.
Working within the time limit. Yeah.
Thank you.
What, ready?
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Well, Father Tom, I guess you're on with the thank you, everybody. I guess you're on with the good night.
Thank you, everybody, for participating in this so well and in contributing the strength of your vocation and of your spirituality and your love of the young and your alignment, personal alignment with Don Bosco and the whole Salesian family. It's been very enlivening for me, and I'm sure for Sister as well. And one of the things about the Salesian family is that it is made up of groups, as you know, but they could be silos. that work on their own and not really interact that much. And as Don Bosco would say in his metaphor of the cord, he wanted a cord. He didn't want 5 strands of string because it's too easy to break the 5 strands. But you twist it into a cord and then it's strength. And that would be when we can get a greater feeling and a greater union of all of the different groups of the Salesian family in our area, in our province. Then we will be stronger. Then we will be more capable of responding completely to the situation of the young and of their families in our area. So that will become the challenge for both Sister Teresa and for Andrea. Try to find ways of drawing together the different groups into the family.
Wow.
Now, after that, I would just like to say a couple of things. One is that one of the many trips, one of our more interesting incidences was when we were driving from Belgrade, Florida, up to Atlanta, and we were going up the West Coast, and we came to this sandwich shop, which was right in the middle of cornfields and nowhere, and just trucks going by with sugar cane and really a workman's road. And we walked in, and a priest and a sister, kind of. It sounds like the beginning of a comedy sketch. And we wanted to look for some coffee. So he says, "I'll make you some coffee. We have this old stuff." And so he does that. So we're standing there talking. He notices that we're Don Bosco. One of us had a Don Bosco jacket on or a shirt or something. And he said, "Don Bosco." He said, "We have Don Bosco in my country." Now he looked like he was from the subcontinent of Asia, and he had this kind of British clipped accent. And he said, "Yes, we have a lot of Salesian places, Don Bosco places, schools in my country." And we started talking about that. He came from Nepal. Now, how did someone in that area of Florida come to own a coffee shop coming from Nepal and knowing very well the work of Don Bosco's education? And then he asked the question that set us back a bit. He says, "Is that a franchise?" He said, "Different schools. Is this franchised out? Can I buy a school and set it up?" And you don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of saying no is consecrated life, is mission of the church. There was not enough time to give him this 2-day workshop. So we just said, "No, it's not a franchise. You got to take part in it on your own." So we walked away, but I said, "Boy, this is something that in Nepal, the mountains of Nepal, Don Bosco was so well known. And this guy wants to buy his way into it." It's just free will. Another point I think that was a humorous for us was we went down to this same place in Mexico. Where was that place? Puebla. And we go in. They wanted us to go in early because they were going to do a special program for province formators or province delegates and province formators. So we go in there, and the room is pretty full, and of course it's all Spanish, and they've got this PowerPoint going, and we sit down, and in the introduction, the woman the sister who's organizing it says, "We're very happy to have 2 experts here with us." So we kind of look around and say, "Okay, who are these 2 experts?" Sister and me. We were the experts. Why am I the expert, you say? Well, we put together, soon after our appointment, we put together a manual of how to be a local delegate. And we made it available and put it on the internet. And they found it and they liked it. And they were making it available to everybody. Now, this, for me, is the perfect example of in the kingdom of the blind, the man with the one eye is king, because we were just new into this, and then went through the materials that we had available and put it together in a booklet. And you say we haven't really come that far beyond that, and that's part of the sad part, and it's a great challenge. And there is a great, great, great opportunity that lies before us. But I want to tell you, as at the end of this, that we are not alone. I have never been so impressed by regional leadership as I am now, within the Salesian cooperators, within the Salesian family. Never been more impressed with worldwide. The materials that are coming to us are really worthwhile. And they're not something to, put into the box. I'll look at it later on. But these are things that can lead us all the way through. Now, I went through the way that that presentation by Mr. Corsi on the ways in which lay people are called because of their baptism, and we lined it up with the Strene that came out in the last 5 or 6 years. That is not by accident. These people, who are made up of all the Salesian family, have studied hard, know who we are and what the church is moving toward, and have laid out a path for us. It's not a one-year celebration. You line them up and they're a path. If we decide not to take the path, okay, we're going to miss. We're going to miss. You know what it's like when you're following your GPS and it says turn right, and you don't turn right, you go straight. They say turn left. You don't turn left, you go straight. Eventually, you're way out of it, and you got to go all the way back and find your way back again. Pay attention to the directions, the guidelines that are coming down to us from the world, from the regional. Those of you who are cooperators, pay close attention to what's coming out of our region, especially with Juanita Suarez, I believe her last name is. Silva. She's coming out with some very, very good stuff. She's from Mexico North. These are excellent things, and they're lining us up to prepare to celebrate fully, whole heart, whole mind, whole spirit, the 150th anniversary of the Salesian Cooperators. Other members of the Salesian family are the same. Pay attention, because they are leading us forward. They know what they're doing, and they deserve our full attention. So it's all of this is good news, and I'm happy to.
Garrett? The only thing about that, Father, that I find, and I do attend them, some of them, is that they're all in Spanish. And we in North America, in the United States, maybe the United States has a lot of people that speak Spanish, but it's very difficult to understand what they're saying. And they try now and translate. Now they have this thing that there's captions. Forget it. It's not working. It's just not working. So if there is a way of reorganizing ourselves that maybe a region could be people who understand English only, like United States, Canada, other people. Is there a way of doing that?
Not yet. I have been very happy with the meetings that I've attended recently, within the last year, of the Inter-America
region,
the translations that are come to us from, no, from Texas. Uh, hmm? No, the young lady who came on the pilgrimage with us.
Oh, yeah.
She does translations, and she does it very
Who is-
well. Christy.
Now, do they
Yeah,
come to
but-
you in form of paper that you can read it, or does
No,
she do it online?
she does it online, and it's very, very well done. Yeah.
One thing that I noted is that they may have updated their mailing list something, but I used to get all the information, and now for a while I haven't received anything. So I don't know, how do I sign back or whatever?
You got it directly from the region or from the coordinator of the province?
I was getting it directly from the region, from the Central American and Mexico people, and I don't know what happened.
Okay, but you should be getting everything from the province also, because Denise is doing a
The
great job.
region sends it to the province sends it to the locals.
Locals, yes.
Yeah, and that's when it dies.
Okay, we'll tell her about your email address and the.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I just wanted, as Father Tom was mentioning, 2026 is the 150th of the cooperators. This coming year, 2025, in addition to being the year of hope, is also the 150th of the first missionary sending of the Salesians of Don Bosco. 2027 is the 150th of the FMA sending missionaries into the world, starting in Uruguay. With the SDB, it was Argentina. So we have a lot of really important moments coming up, and through snippets, we hope to follow them. Certainly through the information that's coming out of the SDB, ANS, also Vatican News, obviously. These are the publications that we should be reading, and it's a way of personal formation. So if we start really to pay attention to all of the things that are coming out of Rome, out of the Salesian Family, out of Torino, out of New Rochelle, we'll start to really be deepening our awareness of all that's happening in the church and in the Salesian Family in the world. So I just counsel everybody do that. And we are updating and moving the platform of the Don Bosco Salesian portal. It will still be up and running and hopefully will be amplified and made much better over time. And we also have the YouTube channel attached to it, Don Bosco Salesian Portal YouTube channel. And on there you can find a video of every one of the 32 groups that we spoke about today. Now, unfortunately, some of them are only in Spanish, but with this AI thing, I hope to be able to, over the next few months, download them, get the transcript out in English, and repost it up to the portal with it so you can hear what the people in the groups themselves are saying about themselves. Okay?
Sister Denise, if you need help with translation from Spanish into English, I'm more than happy to pitch in.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. We appreciate that greatly, Anna. If you go on to the YouTube channel, Don Bosco Salesian Portal, you'll see what are they called? Playlist that is called Salesian Family Groups. And if you look down that list, you'll automatically find the ones that are only in Spanish and that we would need help with. There's no rush, but just little by little. I did download the transcripts, but they're auto-generated and sometimes they're really way off, you know? So thank you very much for that. That help is greatly appreciated.
The registration is up for the Salesian Family Spirituality Days in Turin on January 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th if you feel moved to go there and take part, you're welcome, as we did last year. We had Sister and I and 5 Salesian cooperators from 6 Salesian cooperators from Ramsey and from Montreal who were there. So
And we had Margarita. Pastor
Margarita,
Nicole was also
that's
there
right, yes.
with us.
Margarita, yes.
She's not there right now. Oh, there she is. Hello, Margarita. She was there with us at the spirituality days. And this year, Sister Teresa and Andrea are going, so we encourage you to join up with them. And Sister Teresa can definitely give you a tour around. And Father Mike Pace is there, and he's great, and he can give you a tour around also. His job right now is to be vice director of the Casa Don Bosco Museum at Valdoco. So he's like, yeah, he's in charge. And yeah, he gave us, when we went over on the pilgrimage, we took the pilgrimage to Italy a couple of years back now. He took us around to Salesian places there of Don Bosco around Turin and Turin itself. He's great.
You know, his father just died.
Yes.
Yes. A week ago, yeah.
Yes, John.
Yes.
Okay, so good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Whoa,
Sister, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Denise.
Thank you, Margarita. Good night, all.
Good night.
Oh, my fingers can't touch this.